So we are now in the month of October, and the official jobs numbers for September have come out. And I believe it was saying that 254,000 jobs were added in the month of September. So why do you not have a job? Why do your friends not have jobs? And why on this channel every single day do I report all these various companies around the country doing massive layoffs? Well, it's simple. The government is lying to you because these numbers are not real. The unemployment numbers are not real. I mean, come on, look into how they report it. If you drop off of unemployment because you've had it too long, you won't be counted. If you never file for unemployment in the first place, you're obviously not counted. If you're getting a nice severance package in, you're probably not being counted. I mean, there are so many ways and so many loopholes that add up to you not being added or considered into these jobs numbers. So that's the unemployment rate. Number two, let's talk about these new jobs. On this channel all the time, we talk about ghost jobs, fake jobs. So I'm not saying that there weren't 254,000 jobs posted, but those are not jobs added, because are you easily getting any job that you want? Are you able to just apply to a job, fill an application, maybe apply to 10, 15 jobs, go on a handful of interviews and get a job? No. You're just sending applications out into the ether, out into a black void, and all you're getting in return is a bunch of spam calls, spam texts, trying to sell you stuff. Because these are not real job postings. They are simply posting to get counted. I'm sure these companies are getting either tax incentives, write-offs, some kind of financial advantage. So that leads us back to these constant layoff reports here on Labor Gains, because the reality of what's going on is what I'm reporting here. And you guys are smart. You know better than to believe everything that the government tells you. So I'm going to continue to talk about all the layoffs that are happening and everything that's going on, because somebody has to. This is not what you're going to hear on the news. On the news, you're going to hear everything's fine. This is the best economy we've ever had. We've built back this economy better than ever. All these kind of crazy things. So on my last September overview report, I just did it DIY. And I went to 5 different websites, and I found every company that I could that did layoffs. So we talked about Paramount, we talked about Disney, and I just manually went over everything that I could find when it came to the reported layoffs for the month of September. But now we actually have some solid numbers, and I want to talk about the true layoff numbers. I'm not going to talk about the fake jobs that were posted. I'm going to talk about the actual human beings that either lost their job or at least were informed that they were going to be laid off in the near future in the month of September. Let's dive in. Today's article is from ntd.com, and the headline is U.S. layoffs up 53% in September from the previous year. And as always, the articles I reference are down in the description below, so you can read the whole thing for yourself. I'm just going to go over the highlights and how it pertains to our discussion for today. And this article is from October 3rd, 2024. And it says, new data shows that employers handed out fewer pink slips in September than in August, when the number was at its 5-month high. But layoffs were up significantly compared to a year ago. So the problem is the baseline. So if we're saying that, oh, well, September, there were fewer layoffs, that's good. Well, yeah, I mean, it's better than a terrible month like August, but if you compare that to where we were a year ago, it's still worse. So September 2024 turned out worse for layoffs than September 2023. Even though it's slightly better than August, which was a really, really bad month for layoffs. So I don't think that's anything to hang your hat on. According to the recruitment firm Challenger, Gray & Christmas, US-based employers announced nearly 73,000 job cuts in September. While this was down by 4% from the previous month's 75,891, the layoffs were up 53% from last year. So every month I do a full recap of the layoff numbers as soon as they come out. This month, I did an additional video because I didn't really want to wait. So we did a video here on this channel talking about the 75,891 people who were laid off in the month of August. So yes, it's better, but it's not drastically better, but it's still 73,000 job cuts in the month of September across all industries. So this is not good. And then if you compare it not just to August, where it's a couple thousand better, it's 53% worse than last year. So I pose the question I pose in every episode. When are things gonna get better? When are we actually going to, okay, you could tell me fake news all the time, all day long about the jobs creations report, which I went over in the opening, how that's wrong. I want to hear news about real reductions and layoffs. I want to hear about people starting jobs, enjoying them, getting paid properly. I don't want to hear about, oh, well, now instead of one job, people have 2 to 3 gig jobs that aren't even adding up to what they were making previously. I don't want to hear about, oh, people use their severance package because they were lucky enough to get a good severance package and start an organization. I don't want to hear this, just start your own company, bro. And really, if you're already mid-career, you could, go back and learn trades, but shouldn't you still have a job that you've had your whole career? It's not like we started in some kind of like fad or something like that. So even if I'm just specifically talking about tech work, you can't even really say that it's just a correction from the pandemic, because myself and thousands of other people had a job before 2020 in tech, and now we don't. So you could say that's an overcorrection if you want to, but that just seems like all these companies are just trying whatever they can to get down to a skeleton crew, and it has nothing to do with the pandemic. Really, the major example, the concept of like copycat crimes. Someone does one terrible, awful thing on the news, and then every crazy weirdo wants to do the same thing. Well, very similar, I believe, with Elon and what he did at Twitter once he took over. And he took over and he laid off as many people as possible, and the company's still around. That doesn't mean the company is growing. That doesn't mean the company is thriving. It just means the company still exists. So is this really the model that all these companies want to have? Just have as few employees as possible and just do the bare minimum to keep the lights on? Because that doesn't sound like a good thing. And that doesn't sound like you're going to avoid layoff after layoff. At some point, you got to figure out how to hire people, hire the right people, and use that to grow your business and take your business to the next level, instead of just trying to keep your business barely afloat. The article says that in the first 9 months of 2024, personnel reductions rose by 0.8% year over year to 609,242, surpassing the prior year's running tally for the first time this year. This is the highest level since 2020, when more than 2 million layoffs were announced between January and September. A sizable portion of the year-to-date layoffs were centered in technology, 116,858, entertainment and leisure, 31,054, education, 25,285, transportation, 25,263, and manufacturing, 19,794. These numbers have risen substantially from the same span in 2023. The Challenger report highlighted cost-cutting, business closures, and artificial intelligence as the top reasons for job cuts. We're at an inflection point now, where the labor market could stall or tighten, said Andrew Challenger, the firm's senior vice president. Layoff announcements have risen over last year, and job openings are flat. So far this year, employers have announced plans to hire more than 484,000 positions, down by 33% from 2023. Researchers say this is the lowest year-to-date hiring since 2011. And even with the jobs report, they can announce whatever they want to, and then a year later we could see the correction. What was the number of the correction from the previous year when it came out a month or two ago? 818,000 jobs they overpromised that they delivered? Like, there's no penalty or there's no repercussions for just saying whatever they want to say. And then they can give the real number a year later when they think everyone's forgotten about it. The article goes on to say that labor market conditions could be stimulated in the coming months as the Federal Reserve slashes interest rates and consumer spending is expected to rise, Challenger says. That said, layoffs continue to hit the headlines. This past summer, various businesses laid off a considerable number of workers. Intel, for example, terminated 15,000 employees. Cisco let go of 56,000 personnel. Intuit trimmed payrolls by 1,800. And IBM fired 1,000 staff members. And then it has a section called Snapshots of U.S. Jobs Arena. The U.S. labor market has stalled, with employers neither hiring nor firing at immense scale, says Bill Adams, the chief economist for Comerica Bank. According to the August Bureau of Labor Statistics job openings and labor turnover summary, or JOLTS, the number of hires was little changed at 5.3 million, and the number of separations, which are discharges, layoffs, and quits, was flat. Still, the JOLTS report showed an unexpected jump in job vacancies, topping 8 million for the first time since May. Yeah, so it's not even employees leaving for greener pastures or deciding to move to a new organization. It's people being terminated from out of nowhere, and then this job market, the real job market, is so awful, it's not like you can easily find a new job. While the September jobs report will be the week's main event, market watchers are bracing for October employment data due to the economic fallout from Hurricane Helene and the port strike. Adams noted that the economy faces many near-term headwinds that will affect next month's figures. The impact of Helene and the strike also are likely to affect October's retail sales, industrial production, and jobless claims data, making the economy's trend harder to tease out in the late fall months, he added. So US-based companies in the month of September 2024 saw 73,000 job cuts in just that month. And that equals a 53% rise in layoffs year over year from September 2023. So the official government numbers can come out all they want with how many jobs were created, this, that, and the other. But the reality is Americans are still losing their jobs. They're still being laid off from out of nowhere. And while things might be better slightly from the month prior, they're still drastically worse from where they were last year. And there's really no sign of things getting any better going forward. Let me know what you think about these job cut numbers in the month of September. Talk to you later.